Let me tell you something. When you spend half your life building a home with your own two hands, hauling every board, laying every inch of pipe, wiring up solar panels by moonlight because you're too stubborn to pay a contractor, you don't ever expect to have to defend it against a thief in a Patagonia vest holding a clipboard and a handful of forged documents. But yeah, that happened to me. You might think the world is all about guns and locks, but in the mountains these days, the Real break-ins come wearing cologne and wielding legal jargon, not crowbars. Let me back up a sec. It was spring in Colorado, the kind that finally melts the last bit of snow from your driveway, but still turns your fingers numb if you try working outside past dusk. I'd just finished patching up a storm shutter, one that's been hanging a little crooked ever since a big wind 2 winters back, when I spotted 2 deer nosing around by the woodline. That's how a morning's supposed to start. Coffee on the porch, boots propped, feeling the weight of 3 generations in every square foot of that cabin. My granddad bought this land in the 70s, back when everyone in Denver called it a rocky nothing. For me, it's always been everything. So when some guy I'd never seen before pulls up to my gate, looking lost but wearing that new money smugness, I figured he was just another city hiker trying to find a trail. He waves, asks if I live here, and then, without missing a beat, tells me his map says my cabin is his house. Like he just wandered out of a sitcom. I laugh, thinking he's just confused, but he hands me a business card and introduces himself as Trevor Noland. Says he bought the parcel next door, but his realtor told him the structures seem to cross into his property lines. I tell him to check the map again, that my blueprints are older than his beard, but he just smiles like he's done me a favor by being polite. We shake hands, and I notice he's got the softest grip I've ever felt. Seattle transplant, the type who thinks nature starts at Whole Foods and ends at the parking lot. He leaves, and I think that's the last I'll see of him. Boy, was I wrong. 2 days later, I come back from the hardware store, and there's a laminated notice taped to my gate. Real official looking, county seal, all caps legalese, claiming temporary stewardship of my property by none other than Trevor Noland. My name, my address, his signature. I can tell you, nothing sets your blood to boiling like seeing a stranger try to steal your home with a sheet of copy paper. I call the sheriff. He says a deputy will come by in the morning. Meanwhile, I pull down the notice, scan it, and make 6 copies, because if you've ever dealt with small-town bureaucracy, you know documents go missing more often than stray dogs. I'm up half the night replaying everything. His handshake, that fake confusion, the way he eyed the cabin like he'd already picked out where to put the hot tub. Next day, I'm at the county office pulling every deed, survey, tax receipt. Hell, even the original hand-drawn parcel map my granddad made. Clerk runs a title check. Everything's clear, still in my name, no liens. I drive home, and now I see Trevor's staked out his lot like he's laying claim to gold. To really twist the knife, he's put up a sign on my driveway, private land, property of T. Noland. I stand there staring at it, feeling that old hot anger crawl up my neck. The deputy, Hauer, shows up late, nervous like he's expecting to find a couple of gunshots in the air. I show him the paper, the signs. He takes pictures, files a report, but says it'll probably go to civil court. Let the courts handle it, he tells me, and I have to laugh. Yeah, sure, if the courts ever move faster than a glacier. I know what's coming, war by paperwork. So I drive back to the county office, ask for someone in the land department. Marissa, the clerk, looks up my property in the digital records and goes pale. That's odd, she says. Your parcel's listed as ownership under review. No owner. My name's gone. The chain of title stops at my grandfather. My inheritance is just missing. The access log shows an internal admin login late on a Sunday, a name I don't know, and the guy whose credentials were used is supposedly out on medical leave. It's digital burglary, plain and simple. Marissa says I need a lawyer, fast. Then, the next morning, I find an envelope slid under my door. Inside, a will from a supposed Gordon Noland leaving my land to Trevor. Never heard of the guy? The notary's name? Popped up in Google as license revoked, fraud. I'm steaming now. I call my lawyer, Jillian. She's ex-Army JAG, real estate shark, and the kind of person you want in your corner when the wolves show up. She doesn't even blink, tells me to document everything, film every interaction, and never talk to Trevor alone. That evening, wouldn't you know it, Trevor's back at my gate, coffee mug in hand, wearing a new flannel like he's doing a catalog shoot. Tries to play nice, then gets huffy when I tell him to get off my land and talk to my lawyer. I record the whole thing. He stalks off, muttering about what's rightfully his. The next few days, it's escalation after escalation. I see a drone hovering over my place, swatted out of the sky with a PVC pipe. No serial, no ID, but we both know whose it is. Next thing, Jillian finds out the county records were tampered with from an IP address linked straight to Trevor's house. And there's email proof he coordinated the forged will with a notary for hire. By now, it's a three-ring circus. Trevor files a lawsuit for illegal occupancy and damages, wants $500,000 and my cabin. Jillian counters with a motion for dismissal, malicious prosecution, and fraud. We file criminal complaints, but that doesn't stop the nonsense. A county freeze lands on my property, halting all repairs and deliveries. After a retroactive permit pops up, my name forged, Inspector Long dead. Jillian brings in a digital forensics guy who finds that it's all been orchestrated by someone with admin credentials. Turns out, Trevor's cousin, Kendra Mallon, works in the county land office. She's the inside woman. That's the twist no one saw coming. Now we're not just talking about one greedy neighbor, but a family operation. Jillian and her team dig deeper. There are county login records, forged signatures, camera footage of Trevor sneaking into the records office after hours using Kendra's badge. When we finally get our day in court, the judge takes one look at the mountain of evidence, the drone logs, the forged documents, and the insider emails, and his patience snaps. Trevor, Kendra, and eventually her father, an ex-county land commissioner, are all named in a widening net of indictments. Outside, Trevor tries to threaten me, tells me the fight's not over, that some paper and a judge can't keep him off his land. I tell him next time he shows up, the only paper he'll see is an indictment. He backs off, but I know this isn't over. Jillian pushes the DA's office to dig into Kendra and Lawrence Mallon's history. Turns out, they've been running this play for years, targeting remote owners, faking violations, erasing names from the system. They used administrative mistakes to grab land for cheap, reselling it or holding it hostage until folks gave up. We find out about an old vet whose land became a wellness retreat, all thanks to one of Lawrence's boundary corrections. Makes you sick. It all explodes during the trial. The prosecution has emails, whistleblower testimony, server logs, drone footage, one exhibit binder thick enough to use as a doorstop. Jillian has me testify about building my place, about losing my dogs, about standing on my porch with my legacy on the line while some strangers try to erase it with a keystroke. Jury looks shaken. Verdict: guilty on every count. Lawrence gets 15 years, Kendra 12, Trevor 10. The county issues me a formal apology, delivered by a deputy looking so embarrassed you'd think he was in a middle school play. They even hand me back my corrected land overlay, free and clear. But you want to know the real ending? The state opens a full probe. More staffers go down. The governor orders a review of every shady land transfer in the last 20 years. Me, I win a settlement. Money, sure, but more important, a permanent record that what happened to me can't happen to the next stubborn soul living a little too far off the grid. I hang that letter of apology above my fireplace, not as a trophy, but as a warning. Out here, the battle for your home doesn't always come with a bang. Sometimes it comes on quiet feet, in the middle of the night, with a forged seal and a lie. But you stand your ground anyway, because this land, these memories, that sweat you poured into the boards, they're yours. And if you're not willing to fight for them, well, someone else is always willing to steal them. Now I want to know, where do you stand? Ever been caught up in a battle for what's rightfully yours? Ever seen a paper theft play out in your town? Drop your story in the comments. Tell me where you're watching from, and how you think the law should handle people like Trevor and Kendra. Is justice ever really enough? Or do we need to rethink how we protect our homes and our legacies?